And we are live. Hello and welcome to The Lion Show. I'm your host, your favorite business coach, Robert Lyon. Today, we have the great pleasure of talking to Lucy Price. She is a mindset and empowerment coach. She's an awesome woman, and I'm just super excited to have her on the show today. So, Lucy, why don't you introduce yourself and kind of tell everybody who you are and what you're up to?
Absolutely. Hi. So my name is Lucy. You can find me on Facebook at Lucy Price or my website, lucyprice.net. So I'm a mindset and empowerment coach. I work with both entrepreneurs and just everyone who is ready to take their life to the next level to shift the story of their life. So I help people work through their mindset blocks and their emotions so that they can fully show up, so that they can move past the limiting beliefs, move past the fears, the doubts that are holding them back, and take epic action in their business or in their life. So I work with a variety of different people, but in the short, that's what I do.
I love it. Well, thanks again for coming on. But so I like to ask coaches kind of what is the story that kind of led you to become this style of coach or just a coach, or like how did it all kind of come to be?
Absolutely. So how my story came to be was, a few years back, I worked a corporate job. I worked as a marketing coordinator at a company, and I knew in my gut that it wasn't the right job for me, but I was following my old belief system of I need a consistent job. It's just a 9 to 5. I don't need to worry about it. Just go in, come out, make the money, eventually get a house, that whole narrative. But every day when I went into the office, I was anxious. I was depressed. I looked around and I saw other people who were anxious and depressed. And I realized that it was not the job I wanted to be in, not the position of my life I wanted to be in. And I felt like I was just watching, my future, and it was just sadness. It was just terrible. And so I had this, I call it intuition, but I also could be in some ways me reaching my breaking point at that position because I was deeply, deeply, deeply unhappy. And I had this pull to get my yoga teaching certificate. So outside of coaching, I am a yogi, so I do yoga
Yeah.
and meditation and everything like that. So I just got this hit that I should go and get my yoga teaching certificate. So I saved up all the corporate monies, so that I could, have a good shot at it after I was done leaving and quitting my job.
Yeah.
But I quit my job. I put in my notice and I went out to Massachusetts and I got my yoga teaching certification. And I started teaching yoga. And then through teaching yoga, I started teaching other fitness classes, and I actually got into health and wellness coaching. So that was like a side gig for me. I would take like a couple people here and there. I wasn't really putting everything into it. It was just something I was doing.
Yeah.
But I realized how many people are struggling with anxiety, how many people are struggling with depression. And anxiety and depression is something that I myself have dealt with and still deal with from time to time because I'm human. But I realized that there was something there for me, like something in me. It felt right. Like I felt expansive. I felt like very called to support people on a deeper level in terms of anxiety and depression. And so I started working with people as sort of a life coach with people who were going through anxiety, who are unhappy in whatever stage of life that they were in, and supporting them there. And then that grew and developed more into mindset and empowerment. So really empowering people to do what it is that they want to do, to find the solutions, to reach their goals, to make their dreams into a reality. So it started from a path, and here I am now, happy, having a successful online coaching business, feeling very supported by my business, but also like I'm supporting other people. So everything happens for a reason, I believe. I very
Mhm.
rarely believe that there are coincidences, but that's how my journey happened.
I love it. Yeah, yoga has definitely changed my life as well. It's so good for so
Yeah,
many things in life. So,
absolutely. Well, yeah.
what does how do we shift people's mindsets essentially? Because I know everybody wants success. We all want to live that great life. Even a lot of people know what to do and they just don't take action. So how are you? How do you help people?
Yeah, so you said something there that I actually think is important, which is most people know what to do, right? Most people know the actions they have to take in order to get somewhere. I find that what holds people back when people know the things that they're meant to be doing is their emotions, is their thought processes, is their doubts. So part of it is habit, part of it is the habit of being in a certain pattern. So, for example, like a pattern of mine is waking up and I drink coffee. That's a
Yeah.
very simple pattern, right? Like drinking coffee in the morning. But if I was trying to reduce caffeine, I would have to switch that pattern. I know that I just need to like not drink the cup of coffee, but the feelings that I have associated with that cup of coffee run so deep. I think with like I love coffee. So the actual action is harder for me to do of just not drinking the coffee. So I find with people, they might know logically what it is that they're meant to be doing, but emotionally it's a different story. Humans are more often than not navigated by their emotions. So if you're angry, for example, and you're driving, you're even though you know you probably shouldn't beep at the person in front of you, if you're angry, you're more likely to do that, which creates a rippling effect of things to happen. It's kind of the same thing in business, right? Like if you just don't feel like showing up on Facebook Live and talking about your offering, then even though you're meant to be doing it, if you don't feel like it, then you're not going to do it most of the time, right? Most of the time. So I find that humans are more navigated by emotion than the logical brain, even though we like to think that we're not.
Yeah.
We like to think that we're these logical people. So I help people work through the emotional aspect of it, of how do I get someone to do something without them feeling like they want to do it, for example. And then in turn with that, there are some mindset blocks that people run into as well. So for example, someone could say, I want to be rich and famous or whatever happens to be. I want to be in movies, right? I want to be in movies. But there might be some voices in their head that says, I'm not good enough. I don't look good enough. I don't have the skills. And if they go off of those thoughts, then the chances of them actually auditioning or taking the action to get on a film is going to go down because of their mindset rather than knowing what actions to take. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, it totally does. So my latest, um,
Yeah.
my latest breakthrough, I guess, on this field is what I've been doing. It's totally hippie, but I talk to a bunch of people when I do all these awesome podcasts, and this guy told me to start doing like a gratitude journal. So
Hmm.
I'm somebody who has like I know a million things to do. Like I know if I just do the work, like it'll happen. So, but what's been really helping me is I'll do a gratitude about already having the thing that I'm about to like try and manifest or whatever. Like I'll say, oh, I'm so grateful for these high paying clients that I'm going to get today. And then like I feel it and then I just take the damn action. Whereas if I like just say, oh, I'll do that some point today, it gets pushed off. I don't write the post. I don't reach out to people. But if I have that overwhelming feeling that it's already going to work out, that's kind of been like a major thing for me that's like pushed me to the other side of getting out of my comfort zone, because instead of feeling that fear, I'm like, oh, I already feel like it's going to happen. So I don't know. It's been cool though. So I think that's been really fun.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of gratitude journals too, because I find that most people operate in a mindset of scarcity.
Yeah.
So when you do something so simple as a gratitude journal, for example, right? Like it seems like a very small thing. Okay, three things I'm grateful for this morning. Write it
Yeah.
down. But when you actually like feel it, like you were saying, like feel into the gratitude or feel into the future self journaling or whatever it happens to be, something does shift and you shift away from this tightness of scarcity into more of the flowing of abundance. So that's the other thing too. Like I find most people are operating off of this scarcity mindset of, oh, there's not enough clients for me, oh, there's not enough opportunities for me, oh, I have to get this one opportunity or else there's not going to be any other opportunities. And it's just not the case, right?
Yeah. So that's really helped my mindset, I guess. And then how are you helping people feel like empowered? Because I know not everybody has like the same self-esteem as everybody else. Like they kind of sometimes they need someone to push them or to motivate them or to tell them that's gonna happen. So what do you have tips on that?
Mm-hmm. Well, every client is different. So some people come to me like feeling pretty confident in one area of their lives and like, a little bit less confident in another area of their life. So
Mhm.
a lot of what I do with clients is kind of getting to It's kind of twofold. So I think there's a place in getting to the root of the issue. So that's kind of like, deep inner work. For some people, they might know it as shadow work, inner child healing, that kind of stuff. So like getting to the deeper issue of what sparked this thought of, if you don't look a certain way, you're not going to be successful. So it's getting into like the nitty gritty deep. So for some people, they might think, oh, like the first thought might be society. Society made us that way. And it's like, okay, so let's go a little bit deeper, right? So we go a little bit deeper and we find it's actually like when someone was a little girl, they saw their mother like talking badly to themselves in a mirror about how they look and crying. And so therefore, since being a little girl, someone equated looking a certain way to meaning you're going to be more successful, right? Like just an example there. So for some of my clients, it's about going inwards. It's about looking, where did this belief start that you have to have something a certain way, or you have to be a certain way in order to achieve a certain thing? Where did this insecurity start in your life? How can we heal that past wound so we can let it go, so we can release it? And then for some other people, I think so again, it's twofold. For some people, it's okay, what are your strengths? How can we build on your strengths? How can we celebrate your wins? How can we again like move to that abundance mindset of, what are you doing right? What are you really good at? What can you share more of? How can we build on yourself rather than tearing yourself down? Because like something we have to think about is, we live in a society that tells us something's wrong with us, so we buy more things, so that we go into that consumer culture. So it's a lot of reprogramming, I think, our mindsets of, okay, what in the past has caused this to play out in the future, and what is in the present are you dipping back into that scarcity mode for, and how can we switch it into looking at your strengths and looking at what you're good at and how you exceed.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I always tell people, like, if you have confidence in one area, like it could be like gardening or like video games or something,
Mhm.
just try and just get really good at that, and then hold that confidence inside, and then take that into the next things that you go with. Be like, even if you don't know what you're doing, at least you have some confidence from something else like propelling you forward or something. So I'm all
Yeah,
about
exactly.
I'm all about the listeners kind of like success and stuff. Is there any other tips you have for them to have a successful mindset, or to help them get out of their own way to like do more?
Yeah, I think like the main thing that I could say is, if you're going to step into a new reality, if you're going to step into a new phase of your life, into a new level of success in your business, into a newfound confidence, you have to release some of what you are right now. So you have to be willing to release some of the belief systems that you have, some of the ideas that you have that aren't serving you. So if you're thinking like, oh, I want to become this person who has this online business, I want to become this person who can attract these clients, these soul high level clients who are really in alignment with what it is you're doing, I think you have to be willing to release some of what you are. And that for a lot of people, that's very scary, because humans get used to patterns, humans get used to consistency, humans are so afraid of the unknown, even though everything is unknown. So we try and stick to what we know. We try to hold on to what we know. But in order to have something new, if it's what you really desire, you have to be able to release what it is you know. And I think, like, for a lot of the listeners who are looking to be successful, that's just something you have to keep in mind. If you're going to get to a new place, you have to be willing to step out of the place you've been. If you're, going to take in a new breath of a new career, you have to be willing to release the breath that you already had. So just kind of that mindset of like, if you're wanting to step into something else, you're going to have to be willing to release. Other ways of like having a successful mindset is recognizing that you don't have to have a perfect mindset, right? This isn't about perfection. I tell a lot of my clients, and I work with a lot of my clients, of it's okay to be scared shitless. I don't know if you can swear on here. I hope
Yeah,
you
you can.
can. But it's okay to be really scared. Like it's a right? Like it's okay to be afraid. It's okay to not know if something's going to work out, but don't base your actions off of that. Don't base your actions, what you actually do, based off of fear or based off of a scarcity or doubt. Because if that's what you're basing it off of, that's what your responsible choice in doing a certain thing. But if it's made out of fear, for example, like investing in a coach, for example, right? So if you're scared to invest in a coach, you might make the excuse for yourself of, I'm doing the responsible thing of not spending my money right now. But really, what that could be is you're afraid. And so, therefore, you're going to be stuck in the same pattern that you were before rather than getting support and shifting into a new pattern. And again, it's mostly because you're scared or you don't want to lose the life you have that you know, even though it's not what you want, you know?
Yeah.
So just recognizing that, like, it doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to have a perfect mindset. You don't have to feel the best all the time. You know, you're not going to be unsuccessful because you're sad, but you are going to be stuck if you keep making decisions based off of fear or based off of an emotion or an idea or a belief system that is not serving you.
That was powerful. Um, I think some of the biggest problems that people have is they're always carrying around these past traumas or these past dramas or this like past sense of not of like lack of self-worth. How do you help clients kind of release that? Like how do you do that, or how do you think about it?
Yeah, so there's a few ways to release your past traumas, right? Or things that you've been through in the past. So I kind of come at it from a few different levels. Oh, so you actually remind me of something that I teach some of my clients, which is APA, not like the essays, but it stands for awareness, presence, and alternative actions. So I find that when you're having a previous trauma comes up, you have to be aware of it. If you aren't aware that something is getting in the way, then you can't change it. So the first step that I tell people is like, just start to become aware. Start to notice when you're triggered by things. So if a guy, going back to a car analogy, right? If a guy cuts me off in the road, I might get really pissed off. I might be triggered by this guy cutting me off. And the root of that might be because a guy ran into me and I got in a car accident. And now I'm really afraid of a car coming in front of me, for example. And so having that awareness of, oh, this is happening because of this, because I've had a negative experience driving, that's why I'm afraid, being aware of it. And then the next thing I say to people is like, be present with it. Like, just allow it to be. Humans are so uncomfortable with being uncomfortable. Like
Yeah.
it's just one of those things. Like we don't want to feel uncomfortable. And so I go with my clients, like, be present with that discomfort. It's okay to not feel good. We, again, like, we grow up in a culture that is all about feel good, feel better, feel happy, but humans are meant to feel all arrays of emotions. We're meant to feel sad and pain, right? That's okay, but we try and get out of it all the time, but that's just a part of the human experience. So feel, feel scared, feel pain. It's okay to feel those emotions, allow it to be with you. And then I say, and then make an alternative action. Take action that is not in line with that belief system. So, for example, perhaps with that car cutting in front of me, my initial reaction, my pattern of when a car cuts in front of me, I lay my hand on the horn, I get my car door open, I rush over to that man, I slam on his window, and I say, literally, what are you doing? Like, why are you cutting me off? That might be my initial reaction, right? And so after going through like the awareness, the presence, perhaps the alternative action is, all right, I'm going to pull over. I'm going to pull over. I'm going to put on my hazards and I'm going to breathe. I'm just going to sit here. I'm going to breathe. If I need to yell in this car, I'll yell in this car, but I'm not going to go bang on that guy's window. I'm just going to breathe. So it's like looking at the other options that you can take. So for people who are trying to release, their patterns, release the traumas that have occurred in their life, it's a lot of drawing awareness to it. Like, you have to first be aware of what's going on. So for that, I would say just notice when you're triggered. Like, if you're getting into a fight with your partner and something is happening and you're finding, and triggered being like you have this massive emotional reaction that seems unproportional to what is happening, then just take note of that. Take note of like who the conversation was with, what the conversation was about, what happens in the moments prior, what's going on in this moment. Like, take awareness of why you're having so strong of a reaction, and then start to go deeper. Like, start to ask yourself, why do I always get upset about these things? Like, start asking yourself questions. Why am I getting upset at my partner? Why are we arguing about the dishes again? Why am I upset about the dishes? What does this mean? Right? So, like, getting deeper into it, and of course, like, when you notice a trigger comes up, breathe. Like it's one of those things that when someone first told me to breathe, I used to get so pissed off. I was just like, don't tell me to breathe. Like you don't know me. Like don't. But also like but also humans don't breathe. Like when we're in a fight or flight response, we don't breathe. So like take a deep breath because being triggered is essentially being in a fight or flight response. So you have to get, back into your body essentially. Um, so I kind of talked a lot, but basically like become aware of your triggers. And then in terms of like releasing the triggers, there's a lot of different ways that you can release triggers. For my clients, it's a lot of rewriting their belief system, and then also embodiment practices because it's easy to be cerebral. It's easy to try and think through issues, but you also have to release trauma from your body. Like trauma gets stored in the tissues of your body. That's where the breath work comes in, or massage, or shaking your body, or whatever happens to be.
Yeah, no, I think that's awesome. Um, Thank you for that. I want to know a little bit about the visibility code. Like, is that just like you're
Mhm.
empowering everybody to be as like active and everywhere? Like, how does it look like, and what's it going to be like?
Absolutely. So the Visibility Code is my new group program, and this is not for the guys. So sorry, guys, if you want to work with me, you can work with me one on one. But this is for women or people who don't identify as a certain gender. This is a container for them. And the Visibility Codes is a 6-week group program where we go through how to get visible online. So this is for either the entrepreneur, the artist, the creator. This is also like women who are looking to rise in like corporate America and be seen for their work and their gifts. But we start to look at how to get more visible in your work. How do you, do the branding? How do you do the strategy? How do you attract people to you? So it's part strategy. It's part learning how to put your content out there in order for people to see it and desire more of it, want to be in your energy, want to buy what it is that you have to offer. And then it's also the mindset work. It's the emotional work. It's the energetic work of what's stopping you from getting visible. What's stopping you from putting your offering out there? What doubts are you holding? How can we move past that fear? How can we take action in spite of the fear that is happening for you? So it's both that combination of strategy and the mindset and emotional intelligence, which is going to get your business and your offering to the next level.
That's so cool. So, I mean, I just want to go a little bit deeper. So, like, are you helping them like craft their message and then just kind of telling them to like post on like every social media every day, or is it like a real targeted system, or what are you thinking about how it's going to be?
Yeah, so in terms of messaging, there will be time for like me to review the messaging or for me to like look at different pieces. And like we do go into like when you're talking about targeting, we do go a little bit into niching and posting on Instagram and the algorithm and how to use your hashtags and all that kind of stuff. But it's also just learning how to show up consistently online and in
Ah,
such a way that people want to see and buy into your message.
that's cool. Tell me a little bit more about that. So, how do you perceive like going out there so people want to buy from you? Is there like a special thing, or is it? I like the idea of just being consistent because that's the number one thing is like have a long term goal with
Mhm.
your business, be consistent posting. I just want to know like kind of how you see maybe putting yourself out there on social media so that you can get more customers as opposed to just posting things.
Yeah. So when it comes to social media, I think we take the human out of social media. So when we look at social media, we think a lot about the algorithms. We think a lot about the hashtags. But what we forget is like there's a human on the other side of that screen. And humans, people buy off of know, like, and trust. That common thing of people gotta know you, gotta like you, gotta trust you. And so really for my clients and the people that I work with, it's creating a connection. So what I help people with is creating that connection through social media. So that people really get to know you, get to know your offering. But not only that, it's not only just creating the connection to you from your story, from like what you share and how you share yourself, but it's also how people see them because people care about themselves, right?
Yeah.
So when people see offerings, they want to know how it's going to help them. So it's really about connecting to connecting two people to each other, and then connecting the offering back to the person who's seeing it on the other side. So how is this offering going to serve me? How am I going to see this change in my life through this offering? How do I see myself in this person? How do I see myself in this person's story, in this person's energy, in their presence? So it's more about creating that human connection and developing the relationship, because what I see a lot of the time now on social media, it's very stale. Like it's very, oh, here, buy this thing with this, and this. But it's there's not a lot of human connection to it. There's not a lot of relationship building through it. So it's a lot more about putting our offerings out there in a way that builds relationship and builds connection, so that people want to know, like, and trust you and can see the potential within themselves.
I think that's awesome. Definitely going to be helping a lot of people do that. And I like the idea of just making a habit of being as visible as possible online with your offer, with your messaging. I think that's really cool. I'm into copywriting, so I've kind of gotten this whole persuasion thing built up in my head about how much I need to tell people, how vulnerable I need to be, how much do I need to sell, so it's just interesting to hear what other people think about that, I guess.
Definitely. And yeah, like they're part of being visible is also being vulnerable, and also like knowing what you want to share about yourself, because you don't like, and I think this is a misconception, like you don't have to share everything. Some people are private, and that's okay. Like it's okay to be private and also have an online presence. It's okay to show up consistently and not post every single day if that's not in alignment with who you are. It's just a case of being authentic, like it's easy to be visible. It's easy to set up an automatic post thing and have it post every day of the week.
Yeah.
But if you're not being authentic, people can see it. Like people
Yeah.
can see when you're not speaking your truth, or not offering something that's in alignment with who you are.
Yeah. I really think if it's going to be like your business or your online presence, like you have to be the hero of your business, of your story. And I think that's kind of what you've got going on. So do you have any other tips on how to be like that hero of your story and telling everybody to come and buy? Like how do you think about it?
I think about it in two ways in terms of being the hero of my own story. So here are the two ways I think about it. The first way I think about it is I'm all in no matter what. So I'm all in my business. I'm all in on who I am. I'm all in on supporting as many people as possible if it's in alignment for us to work together, if we're a good fit. So I'm all in. So I think about it that way. And so for me, that's become like a mantra. And yes, it's a mantra, but it's also a lifestyle. So for me, it's like, how do I base decisions based off of being all in? What does that look like for me? And then the other thing I had to say is bet on yourself. Like when you're the hero of your own story, always bet on yourself, because so often we're betting on other people or other things. And so when you're just gearing up to put yourself out there, like, how can I bet on myself today? What does that look like? So yeah, I would say those two things. And then the third thing I would say actually is like, what did I need to hear when I was in this part of my life? So for me, it might be, what did I need to hear when I was in the deepest, darkest of my depression, and I didn't know if this was going to be my life for the rest of my life at corporate America. And so I asked myself, like, what did I need to hear? And then I write that and I post that, because what your people need to hear is what you needed to hear 3 to 5 years ago.
Yeah, that's so cool. I love the I'm all in. I think that's such a great way to do it. Cause So how are you helping people with like the imposter syndrome? Like they're afraid to rise up to be, I guess, who they want to be.
Okay, so that's a very good question in terms of imposter syndrome, because I think it's something that people still face at high levels of success. And what I most want to say there is like, you deserve what it is that you have. So for whoever is like in that zone of like, I don't know if I can say this thing, I don't know if who am I to be helping these people, who am I to be making this offering and charging this amount, right? Like if you are in integrity, if you are in alignment, if you are fully supporting whoever it is that you want to support, and you can stand behind your product, then the imposter syndrome is mind gremlins trying to like get you. So first I'll say that that if you're going through that, just know that like you do, if someone is like listening and feeling that imposter syndrome, like whatever it is you have, like you most like more often than not totally deserve it. If you're still feeling that imposter syndrome, I would ask yourself and like go inwards. Where are you out of alignment? Like, where are you not acting in integrity? Where are you, saying something that you're not doing, or acting in a way that you wouldn't tell someone else to act? So I would like suggest doing a little bit of the inner work. Most of the time when people feel imposter syndrome, you deserve it. Like most of the time, it's just like your mindset. It's just your like your beliefs about self-worth or self-belief or whatever it happens to be. But if you're really like consistently feeling that, I would just like do an honest but kind inventory of, are you acting in alignment and integrity? So it's kind of like a double-edged sword answer, but I think there's something to be said for it, because it's easy to beat ourselves up. Like, again, we live in a society, we live in a culture that it's all about getting to the next thing, getting to the next level, buying the latest thing so you can keep up with the Joneses and, be all this thing. So just know you're operating in that culture, a culture that is trying to make you feel less than so that you buy more. But also, like, if you are feeling out of integrity often, that's something to look at too. So it's kind of a dual-edged sword there.
Yeah, no. My new theory on it is like, be in the arena of life, even if it's just like you're making it up as you go. Like, just be out there trying to do your best every day. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah, and I think it's like no one's got it figured out. Like
Right.
even, the billionaires of this world haven't got everything figured out. So if you're feeling like an imposter because you haven't got anything figured out, no one's got it figured out. You're fine.
Yeah. Well, I think it's been really awesome today having you on the show. So why don't you tell everybody like the best places to find you online or to work with you or just get in contact with you?
Definitely. So the best ways to find me online would probably be on Facebook and Instagram. And you can just send me a DM. So Lucy Price on Facebook, LucyPrice. And then on Instagram, it's lucy.m.price. So lucy.m as in Michaela .price, Price. So those are the social media handles. If you want to catch me on my website, you can send me an email there if you're interested in working with me, and that's lucyprice.net. And yeah, those are the places to find me online. I do have a few one-on-one spots open if anyone's interested in one-on-one coaching and going deeper into this work, whether you're an entrepreneur or just someone who has big dreams and big goals and wants to crush them. And then, of course, the visibility codes as well coming up.
Yeah. How do they find the visibility code? Is that just through Facebook or messaging you?
Yeah, so that's on my website, but you can also, if you go to my Instagram or if you go to my Facebook, you'll see it.
Yeah, that's so cool. So what I've been asking everybody who kind of comes on the show is like, what motivates you, or what does motivation mean to you to like do more, to strive to be more? What does that mean?
So for me, what motivates me is I know how awful it feels to hate your life. I know how awful it feels to sit in anxiety every day, to sit in depression every day, to feel like there's no way out of your life, to feel like there's not more for you. And so for me, what motivates me is I don't want anyone to feel that way. I don't want anyone to feel that way because it's a terrible feeling. So that's my personal motivation. Like if I can like, so for me, if I get to help like one more person, it's worth it. Like every struggle's worth it. Like everything I've been through is worth it. But I know that pain. And so for me, it's more like, I know I have a lot of empathy for people who are struggling or don't feel like they're good enough or don't feel like, the pit of darkness that they're in is ever, they're not going to be able to get out of it. So for me, it's quite personal. In terms of like what motivates me to keep going is I now know how good life can be.
Yeah.
I know how good life can be. And I know that like if you're in a 9 to 5 job and you hate it, you don't have to stay there. There are other options for you. People are going to try and keep you locked in there because that's what they know and that's what they believe, but you get to choose something else. So whether it's a 9 to 5, whether it's, a relationship, whether it's, starting an online business and no one's clicking on your offers or whatever happens to be, like, I know what it is to get onto the other side, and it's all the struggle is worth it once you do.
Love it. Ah, that was so great. Thank you so much for sharing that. Well, I just want to let you know it's been an amazing time having you on the show. I think everybody has definitely learned something, and it's just been so wonderful. So I want to encourage everybody to go check out Lucy Price on social media. Definitely check out the Visibility Code. Sounds like it's going to be a great thing. And then also, please subscribe to the show and have a great day. Thank you, everybody, for listening.
Thank you.
No problem. Bye.